Hello everybody, Mushroom Miter is back. Thank you again for joining us today. So our lesson for today is salt. Can we all say salt together? Salt. Awesome. Cool. So quick question. Do you think our body needs salt? Yes or no? Yes, our body does need salt in order for us to survive, because with the right amount of salt in our body, it helps keep our blood flowing so that our body and our muscle works. However, if our body gets too much salt, it also is not really good for our body, because our heart would have to pump faster and harder in order for us to get all the extra salt in our body taken out. So I don't know if you ever notice, after eating a lot of salty food, you get really thirsty, right? That's because your body is trying to take out all of the extra salt in your body that it doesn't need. Yeah. So one way that we can help control the amount of salt that goes into our body is just by cooking our own food. However, if you do eat any food that is pre-cooked, a way for you to find out how much salt is in your body, how much salt is in the food, is to look at the nutrition label. And when you look at the nutrition label, you want to look for the word sodium. That is spelled S-O-D-I-U-M, sodium. So that's another word for salt if you want to find out how much salt is in any pre-cooked food. So today we are going to make our own noodle soup using instant packaged noodle. But what we are going to do in order for us to control the amount of salt that's going to be in our noodle soup, I'm going to open it up and we're going to take out the flavor package and toss it out. So we're going to soften up our noodles. I have some softened up already, ready to go for in a bit. This is just an instant noodle package that my family use a lot, so I have a lot of it at home, but you can use any instant noodle package to make our recipe today. So yeah, we toss out the flavor and we are going to make our own soup from scratch. Everything, just have some water boiling and we are gonna make it right now, okay? So again, before we start, always remember to wash your hands. I washed my hands already, so we're ready to go. And then don't forget to check your supply list and your recipe so that you have all of the things that you need to make your noodle soup, especially for this recipe because it's a really big recipe. It has a lot of stuff going on, so you really got to check your supply list to make sure you have everything. Okay, so let's get started with the first part, and that is the soup part. So all of the ingredients that I'm going to put in my soup, let's go through that. So the first thing I have is my onions and my ginger. I'm gonna cut my onion in half. Well, actually I cut it in half already. Cut it in half, and to char is just for you to fry it on a pan so that it gets a little brown. So this is how my onion looks like when I char it. And here is my ginger. Whee! Just make it a little brown. You see that color? Yep. So that is charring. And the reason why we cut it in half is so that we bring out more flavor from these ingredients, right? So I cut my onion in half, cut my ginger in half, brown it out, and once it gets to that color, we're gonna throw it in our pot with boiling water. So I have my pot over here. I'm gonna throw that in. All right. So that's the first part. And adult, you would do this part, but you can also have the kids help you out. So they can probably help you with flipping the onions or just taking it out and put it into the pot, all right? Okay, and then the next ingredients that I have is lemongrass. So I love putting lemongrass into my soup. I think it's a really good smell, fresh smell. And this is something that I do when I put lemongrass into my soup or just any type of soup that I have at home. And I learned it from my mom, I learned it from my friends, a lot of my friends who do this, and this is so that you can get the most flavor out of your lemongrass. You're gonna break it, so I break it, and do it one more time. And you're gonna tie the lemongrass with the top of it. So without using anything else, just the lemongrass itself. I'm gonna tie it together, and it looks like a bundle, like that, just like that, and then you throw it into your pot. So that's how I get more flavor out of my lemongrass. So I got my lemongrass down, and then the next thing I need is some mushroom. And again, the more ingredients you have, the more flavor your broth is going to be, the more flavorful your broth is going to be. So in our recipe, it calls for one cup. So 1 cup of mushroom. You can use fresh mushroom, dry mushroom. It all works. I love mushroom, so if you love mushroom, you could put a little more mushroom in there. Okay, so there's my 1 cup of mushroom. I'm gonna put that in. Put that into our broth, and then the next thing we need is our carrot. So I also cut my carrot in half. Why? To get more flavor. Okay, so that's the last thing. So I'm gonna throw that in, and you're gonna let your broth sit for at least 30 minutes so that all of the flavor comes out of the ingredients. However, the longer it sits, the more flavorful it will be. So if you have more time, if you have like an hour, 45 minutes, even better. So I'm gonna let that sit. I also have I have another pot going right now, so I'm gonna swap that out in a bit, okay? So we're gonna go into our next thing for our recipe, and that is the garnishes. So the garnishes are all of the different vegetables that I'm going to put into my noodle bowl at the end once I have the soup and the noodles ready, okay? So let's go. Actually, oh, I forgot a step. The really important part is my pho spices. So for our noodle soup today, we are inspired by a pho broth recipe, and we are using some pho spices to put into our broth as well. And you can use a tea bag or a tea ball. If you have a mesh bag, you throw your spices in. So these you can find at Asian grocery store, or if you want to make your own spice bag, you can look for our recipe online. So that is, again, at foodliteracycenter.org. Look for our curriculum tab and look for pho spices. So here, put everything in. I just need to close that up. So if you don't have this, no worries. A tea bag works. If you have a mesh bag, that works too. So that's our last step for our broth. And the reason why we were inspired to use a pho basis for this broth is actually because, here's a story. We have a student in one of our classrooms. She wrote a letter to our founder asking for us to make a lesson and a recipe for pho because she wanted to share. It's something that she eats at home, and she wanted to share that with her classmates. She wanted to see it in the classroom. So we thought, hey, we've been trying to put together a recipe for our lesson for salt. So that was the perfect complement to our lesson. So that's how this soup was inspired, and that's how it came to be. So is why we use pho spices for our broth. And again, you can use this for any type of instant package that you have, any instant noodles package that you have at home. So it's really yummy, and we are ready to go. It smells really good in here already. I've been boiling that soup, so it's smelling really good. Okay, so the next step of our recipe is, okay, we're gonna go into the garnishes. So the first ingredients that I'm going to work on is our carrot. We are going to shred our carrot. So you have a grater, box grater, that works. And we want to make this into small pieces so that we can just top it on our noodle bowls. So kids, this is really sharp. Always got to be careful. Remember, whenever you shred anything using a grater, your hand should be really far away from your grater, okay? And you do as much as you would like to put in your soup. Going. And you want to use a big piece of carrot. If you have a really small piece of carrot, it will be really hard to grate. So you want a big piece of carrot. Okay. You might not see it because they're all going on the inside. So let's take a look. I have this. Give it a little pounds so that it all falls off. There you go. If you can see that. I have some carrots, shred, and I'm gonna scoot that to the side. If you have an extra bowl at home, if you're doing this, put it into an extra bowl that you have. But now I'm just gonna scoot it to the side, okay? And the next thing I have is my basil. So I actually want to share with you how I say this in Hmong. So Hmong is a dialect for Hmong, the Hmong people, and that is the dialect that I speak. So my translation will be in Hmong. And so basil in Hmong, we call it rau chi teng. So what I'm gonna do with this, I'm just gonna rip off the leaf. If you're really brave and you love the flavor of basil, you can probably even put the stem in just to add more flavor, although it won't taste as good, but for flavor, it's good. The basil, I love basil leaf, so I will eat all of the basil leaf. So if you love basil leaf like I do, you could put more. You could put a lot more. Okay, and now I'm gonna put that off to the side. So we're gonna make different piles of our garnishes on our cutting mat. Okay, and then the next thing is green onions. So green onion, and Hmong we call it dal. So with my dal, I'm gonna chop it into tiny pieces. So kids, this part you can do. Again, butter knife works, plastic knife works really well with the green onion. If there's a part of a vegetable that you don't want to eat, just remember to chop it off and throw it away. So I have a trash can down there. I'm not throwing it off to the ground. Be safe. And a really easy way to cut your green onion so that you can cut it really fast is you make them into different pieces and then you put all of them together like that. And remember your claw, and you just chop them together so that it takes you a faster time, right? Chop, chop, chop. Okay, I think that's the good amount that I want to use of green onion. So I'm gonna actually move this to the side and then put my pile of green onion right there. And the next part of my ingredient is the cilantro. So our cilantro, and Hmong, cilantro is called rau tu. Say that again with me, rau tu. Okay, and you can just use your hand with this, big piece, small piece, however you like it. I eat the stem of my cilantro too, so I just break them into big pieces, just like that. There you go. There you go. Okay, there's my pile, and I think that's actually all of the things that I need to cut. Wait, there's my lime. So the lime, depends on what kind of lime you get. You might need help from the adults, but if it has a soft outside, then you can probably cut it by yourself. This knife doesn't work, so I will need an adult to use a chef knife to cut this lime. And that is if you like lime juice in your lime. In your noodle soup. I love lime, so I'm gonna cut some extra pieces, set that to the side, and I think that's it. So I'm gonna switch out my pot, bring in the boiling pot. Okay, and now I'm going to put together my bowl. So bring this in. I decided to use this just because it's pretty convenient for me. Right after this, I will take it to go with me so that I can eat it at home. Okay, so now I'm gonna put together my noodles. So we're gonna measure, what does our recipe say? We need 1 cup of noodles. So here's my 1 cup. My noodles is over here. Let me grab it, fill it up. Not the prettiest, but here's 1 cup. 1 cup of noodles goes in. All right, and then we need 2 cups of broth. So let me get my 2 cups. So let's count together. We have, that is 1 coming in. Be very careful because it will slide off from the side of the cup. So you gotta make sure everything goes in your bowl. There's 1. That's how far we are. So you might need a bigger bowl because my bowl actually is kind of tiny. All right, and there is 2 cups. Perfect. Perfect. It fit just right. Okay. And so all the ingredients that you threw into your soup, if there's anything that you want to put in to garnish, you can also use a spoon like this that has some hole, a slotted spoon, and take that out. So I want some mushroom in my noodle bowl. I'm gonna get a piece of mushroom. And adult, you would have to supervise this part because it's really hot. So if you're gonna do this, do it way ahead of time because it's really hot right now. Put it here. And I'm just gonna slice some pieces for myself to put in my bowl. So that goes along with my garnishes. So squeeze that, Yums. Okay. And now we are going to put all of the garnishes into our bowl. So here's my cilantro, sprinkle it in. Here's my carrots, sprinkle that in. Mushroom, yummy. Mushroom my herb, eating some mushroom. Okay, green onion, basil, all of my basil, love basil. Boom. And then my lime. So squeeze that lime juice out. Squeeze it. If you wash your lime, which I did, I always wash my lime, and you really like lime juice and just the liminess taste, you can actually just throw in your piece of lime in here. That's what I do when I eat noodle soup. I squeeze in the juice and then I throw in the wedge of my lime in there. So now I'm gonna mix this up. We're gonna mix this up. This actually, maybe that was a little too much soup. Oh, yay. Thank you. An extra bowl. Okay, let's mix this up. Ooh, smells really good. And I want to eat the basil, so I'm going to take a big chunk of the basil with me and take a bite out of the basil. Okay, so here we go. Let's try that out. Tastes really good. So that is it. That's our noodle soup. Again, you can always be creative at home. If you want more flavor of any ingredients, throw that in. You can take a longer time to boil your soup, so that more flavor comes out. Use any sort of instant packaged noodles and any other garnishes that you like. So if you like to put different vegetables in your noodle soup, please let us know. Comment below what vegetable would you put in your noodle soup. So thank you again so much for joining me today. Have a habanero wonderful day. Watermelon wonderful day. All right. Thank you. See you next time.